Right, well, for more on this, we're being joined by Andrew Whitehead from London. He's a historian, author and former BBC senior journalist. Welcome to the broadcast, Andrew. Now, this is a piece of legislation that's slightly controversial amidst Conservative ranks. Give us your assessment on how this is going to play out.
Well, there's clearly a public health issue about the use of vapes. As you say, millions of youngsters are now using these electronic cigarettes with impact on their health. The government's planning to introduce a ban on disposable vapes, as well as tightening up the law about marketing and the range of flavours of vapes which are on offer. But some right-wing Conservatives say that this is going too far, that people should be able to make choices, that this is actually the nanny state in action. And a small group, probably a few dozen Conservative MPs, are planning to rebel against the government when this measure comes to Parliament in the next few weeks or months.
And what about the electorate? Of course, we've seen Rishi Sunak's Conservative Party struggling in the polls. Do you think this type of legislation will prove popular and go to reversing that poll lead that Labour have got, or is it simply not really going to have much of an impact on a potential general election?
I don't think it's going to have much of an impact at all. I think probably restrictions on vapes would be generally popular with the electorate because everybody sees groups of teenagers outside school puffing on these vapes. And clearly, they're not good for the environment, but more than that, they're very bad for those teenagers' health. It's not as damaging to health as cigarettes, but it is nicotine that these youngsters are inhaling with the vapes. But it's not a huge issue, and the opinion polls are so bleak for Rishi Sunak's Conservatives. This is not going to turn it round. Unless something really unexpected happens, the Conservatives are going to head for a fairly catastrophic election defeat, according to the opinion polls, probably in an election later this year.
Absolutely. Let's just talk then about a slightly divided Conservative Party, because yet again we're seeing the former Prime Minister Liz Truss be one of the key people speaking out against this potential legislation. Give us your assessment on how things stand in the Conservative Party. We know they're deeply divided, but do you anticipate a leadership challenge to Rishi Sunak, or do you think he will hang on now until the election?
I think he will hang on. Just a few days ago, a former cabinet minister, Sir Simon Clarke, did say that Rishi Sunak should be replaced because he wasn't cutting it. He wasn't connecting with the electorate, and the opinion polls weren't shifting, and he wasn't right-wing enough, basically. But I don't think there's any appetite really within the Conservative Party for yet another change of leader. After all, we've had Boris Johnson, Liz Truss and now Rishi Sunak, all since the last general election in December 2019. And I think most people feel that going to a new leader would give the electorate even more of a sense of a Conservative Party which is divided and doesn't know which way to face. And of course, the right-wingers who are now moaning about Rishi Sunak were the people who wanted him to be leader. He was seen as a right-winger himself. I mean, some of them were loyal to Boris Johnson, but Rishi Sunak is a right-winger. He's a small state, low-tax Conservative by instinct. He was very strongly pro-Brexit. He's not a Remainer. So he's got many of the instincts which the Conservative right-wing welcome. But the party is facing, such a poor electoral prospect that everybody is really jockeying for position after the next election. I think most Conservatives are taking it for granted that they will lose the coming general election, and then it's which faction is going to be dominant after the election, when the Conservatives are likely to be in opposition for the first time since 14 years ago.
Absolutely. Andrew Whitehead, former BBC senior journalist, historian and author, many thanks for your insight there.